Well, you're welcome back to Morning Express for the final leg of conversations on the program. Our studio is being graced by Mr. Ina Okopi Ago, National Secretary, African Action Congress. Now, of course, the conversation is surrounding preparations ahead of the 2027 general elections, debates on zoning, and ways of chartering national unity in the country. A very good morning to you, Mr. Ina. It's wonderful to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you, Chijoke. Thanks for having me.
Well, sometime last week,
Yes.
your principal,
Yeah.
talking about Omoyele Shore, was here in the studio with us, and he made quite some very strong comments regarding 2027 general elections. So one of them is the fact that I asked him if he was still going to be in the ring in 2027. He said he never left the ring. He has always been and will continue to be in the ring.
Perfect answer.
What is the position of the AAC ahead of 2027? Not just at the presidential level, but even at the state level.
Correct. Thank you very much, Chijoke. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure being, like I say, on your channel.
Yeah.
I'm glad my principal was here, Shore.
Yeah.
A great guy. But I still wonder why he's not properly celebrated by people across the country. But down to what you have asked, after the 2023 general election,
Yeah.
when we only got into the race like 6 days before the deadline closed, because before then we were some elements with the connivance of people within power had connived to hijack our party. We got judgment 6 days or so before the close of INEC's deadline to field candidates. And so what you saw in 2023 was just a 6 days preparation, whilst other people had 4 years to plan. And prior to that, my principal had been in detention of the SSS.
I do recall that.
Again. And then when he was allowed out, there was now a court restricting him, a court judgment or decision restricting him to Abuja.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that even after he emerged as a candidate, because of the shortness of time, we had to also go to court, for the courts to lift that restriction, because if you're going to be a candidate, you should be at least allowed to
campaign.
campaign.
Move around the country.
And the learned judge at the time saw through with her argument and granted him that leave to be able to go around the country to campaign. So we were constrained on several levels at organizing. And apart from that, because the time was short, not a lot of vetting went into people who emerged as candidates of our party at the state level for governorship. Once they came in, they also started plotting against the party and against our candidate for the presidency. About 12 of them came and were trying to endorse the current president. Some were planning to go for Atiku. We immediately saw them for who they were, fake people who have found a credible platform and wanted to use it to make money. The party took steps and expelled them even in the middle of an election. And so we still maintain that that election, if it had gone the way we expected, free and fair, we would have been nothing short of victory.
Do you think that infiltration might have been the reason why the AAC didn't really do well in the last general election?
No, like I said, the preamble to the question you asked was we had a court case that lingered for a while. And then whilst others had 4 years to consolidate and plan their moves, we had 6 days to do that. Even after getting the presidential candidate and governorship candidate, we're still struggling to void a decision of the court restricting our vibrant candidate from traveling across the country to speak to the youth. That's why I think the election went the way it did. And of course, elite conspiracy, where they picked one of their own and attempted to project him for the presidency. And there was a lot of following, because prior to the election, like I said, the people who were supposed to come forth and really chart a course were either locked up somewhere or didn't have a platform to even go public to talk like the media. don't forget, some of these media houses, if not all, are owned by politicians with vested interest, and they won't even give you a platform to talk. We suffered that a lot. Yes.
Now, Mr. Aina, let's delve into the matter. Let's talk about the issue of zoning. Quite some analysts, individuals, are of the opinion that come 2027, most political parties will zone their candidates to the south, as opposed to the north, that has already had its own fair share of 8 years in power in the APC-led administration of President Muhammad Buhari.
Correct.
Your candidate in the AAC is from the southern.
We don't have a candidate yet.
You don't have a candidate. Well, your possible candidates projections.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, let's assume we don't have a candidate.
Yes,
Mr. Ada. Ahead of 2027.
Good.
What is your position on zoning of the presidential candidate or presidential candidates of the AAC?
My brother. I think we should not run away from the fact that all these discussions about zoning, all this elite conspiracy to distract from what should be.
Please break that down.
I would come to that.
Okay.
Okay, listen. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have been in power for nearly 2 years or more.
Yeah.
The country has not fared better, except if you want to deceive yourself. I listened to your last guest who was singing praises as though he just came in from the West, abroad. Security is a challenge. People can't travel. Feeding is a problem. People can't pay medical bills. The country is in shambles. And added to that is the repression that comes with speaking out. The police are at full sway. They are firing full throttle. You talk anyhow, they pick you and lock you up. You speak against somebody who you perceive has done you wrong, they pounce on the police, use them as pawns to arrest and lock you up. This is the norm. We should be focusing on governance instead of what these elites are doing. There's also the issue of electoral reforms. Okay. That is not being talked about. Are we going into the next election with the same electoral law that we used in 2023?
Well, hold on.
I was part of I was part of the discussion or suggestion as to how to make our elections better. Okay. Now you would expect that is what will consume people discussing on how to make the next election different and more credible. They are not talking about it. Now they've come and begun to push to us the issue of zoning. Who has zoning helped? They said it should go to the north. Buhari was there for 8 years. 8 years. Did we fare better? And then after Buhari was done, the same elites came together and said it should go to the south. Another one has come and is in power. Is the country faring any better? No, except if you want to deceive yourself. If you ask me, since they want to talk zoning, I think the presidency and all other positions across the country should be zoned to the oppressed. People, a new generation of leaders, and not these people you have on the scene. They cannot take us out of the woods. These people are people with vested interest. They take their personal interest and push it to us as national interest. And we're talking zoning. Who has zoning helped? Are you better off? The salary you earn today, can it take you from point A to point B? No, it can't. So if you focus on zoning, you are pushing the country back. If you say zoning, I agree to zoning, but zone it to the oppressed. People, a new generation of leaders that have been waiting in the flanks to take over.
This is a dynamic ideology. It's a dynamic way of thinking, Mr. And I must say I'm very impressed. And it's not the typical conversation you would hear the typical politician in the country or a member of a political party having about zoning not just being about a region, but rather about the oppressed versus the oppressor, in your words.
Yes.
When Shore was here in the studio, sometime last week. One of the questions that we had asked him
Yes.
was concerning these electoral reforms you cited.
Okay.
We talked about the idea of an independent candidacy. We also talked about the idea of diaspora voting.
Correct.
Both ideas he had given green lights to, citing that these are reforms that will make our electoral processes more free, more fair, and more credible in the country. Do you subscribe to this line of thoughts?
Now, I subscribe 100%.
Yeah.
And you know why?
Why?
When the National Assembly organized a retreat for judges of the, I think, Appeal Court or Federal High Court, House of Assembly members and political party leaders. Yeah. I was one of the representative of our party. One of the things, two of the things we suggested are the things you just mentioned: independent candidature and diaspora voting. Yeah. We also think that there should be a tying up of our voters registered to the national identity number, because the way it is right now, you find just any Dick and Harry can just get a voter's card. Yeah. Apart from the fact that some of the frauds being perpetrated, it is so easy to get the voter's card that you can open any of these accounts, these new accounts that you open, not the mainstream banking. You can fintechs. Use that. Yeah, fintechs. So, but we are saying is that apart from helping our national security, if you tie that to our NIN, that is unique to each individual, you would see the number of people holding our voters card crash very significantly, because that would also, of course, bring more credibility to the process. Yeah. Now, to diaspora voting, that is an easy thing to implement. But when we brought it forth, of course, they cited reasons why this would be difficult. And I remember one of the APC leaders that I was seated close to telling me that some of these ideas are utopian. Is it utopian or something? That's the word. Yes, and I'm like, why is it utopian? No, but it is difficult for them to understand new ideas. What they are used to is old forms of leadership where they impoverish the people and make them servants to them. Just put the people at the position of servitude when they get together and discuss how to share power. We have shared power to the South in the hope that the country was going to get better. But what has that thrown up? Tribalism. We have never witnessed the kind of tribalism that we're witnessing today in this country.
That brings me to the next question on the matter of national unity in the country. Nigerians at this point, beyond seeking for better food security, beyond seeking for better security of their lives and property, and better means of living with the high tariff of basically everything in the country going on right now, want a situation where there will be a leader that unites the South, the North, the West, and the East.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts, and how do you think we can chart a course towards achieving this national unity that has continued to disintegrate in the country as it stands now?
Good. I've said it when I started talking. The easiest way to do that is to zone the presidency, the governorship positions, the House of Rep, House of Assembly, the Senate to the oppressed.
How can that happen when you talk about the oppressed?
Good. If we are going to be fair to each other, you, as the anchor here, know people in your community with integrity. Not just people with money. If such people come forth, you should be in a position to also campaign against them and turn people to people with the credibility. They are bound in this country, in the diaspora. When you zone this presidency and this leadership position to these people, they will come and chart a new course for this country. That is the only thing that can bring peace to this country. If you give it to these people with vested interests, they will come and still live out their personal interests, which is what is happening today. No peace can come to being with this crop of leaders that we have on the scene. Do you want to see what they do? And should I also tell you, we have something happening in Kogi now. Very disturbing development. Somebody accused another person of some harassment. And instead of looking at the matter, we're looking at something else. To the point where it has got to the point of recall. I saw footages of how they obtained certain signature to recall somebody from the House of Assembly.
Individuals
Yes,
multiple,
and that is
multiple signatures.
That is
on the document.
not a problem to Nigerians. We're focusing on what would plunge us deeper into crisis.
Well, it's quite sad. But if, from your perspective, Mr.
Yes.
Ina, what is your take on the topics or conversations surrounding these coalitions? You know, the engineer that had left, Engineer Benga, had given us a proper definition of a coalition and a merger and all of that. Now, the coalition of opposition parties, led by former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has accused the INEC of frustrating its efforts in registering a new political party in a form of a merger. However, INEC has asked them to make sure that they do their homework before coming to them to ask for a new political party. And what is that homework? All political parties must agree to the merger. You can't just up and say you are merging a political party to another one when top wigs within the party are not subscribing to that. And that is the case of the PDP. What is your position on the issue of mergers? And do you think this is perhaps a way out of this debacle that the country
I've told you, Chidoke, the way out of the debacle is for them to
beyond zoning to the your press.
I would explain that.
Okay.
What they call merger, opposition, you find them coming together on a certain party platform. By the way, the leadership of that party is also someone that I know very well.
Okay.
Looking at the crop of people that are moving to this new platform in the form, in the guise of a merger,
Yeah.
where are they from? Are they not all the same people? Even that will not help. I am telling you the truth. You will soon call me a prophet. When we get to 2020, if they succeed in what they are trying to achieve, and I doubt that they will, I doubt it, because these platforms are owned by all of them, even the people in the so-called.
The PDP,
forget
the
it.
NNPP,
The real hand will soon show. They have destroyed the Labour Party. PDP is in shambles. What you have now, they are all coalescing on one platform. That one also, the infighting will start. And it will now show their proper hand, how selfish they have become.
Yeah.
See, Chidoke, don't mess with this. Even what they are calling, and don't blame INEC for it. I think INEC has had like a directive in place that they won't register under political party until they sanitize what you now have. We have 19 political parties. How many of them are truly opposition? Are not angling to make money in 2027. That is the party you should be looking at. And there are one or two or three of them.
When you say they are angling to make money in 2027, you might be speaking from a vague perspective.
Vague. I'm a national secretary of a political party.
That is why if somebody listens to you, they know that you are trying to make a point.
Yes.
But perhaps you're trying to shroud this point in some sort of mystery. For people who are not good at deciphering mysteries, can you break that down for us?
See, only a handful of people in this country that I have met truly believe, especially the ones Nigerians call leaders, truly believe that this country should move forward. Did you not hear in the 2023 general election how they said money was just exchanging hands? The essence of this money exchanging hand is to fund their so-called structures at the rural areas, thereby impoverishing the people. What they give to you can only take you through 1 or 2 meals, and then you are back to square one.
And the typical Nigerian notion is, as long as money comes into my pocket, I've taken my share.
I've taken my share, which is a very, very shameful and painful position to assume. We should be a bit more conscious. We should determine that our country must move forward.
Yeah.
We have had leaders, like I said, without any apologies, whose personal interests have now been projected to be national interests. I can give you 2 examples. When this government came into power, One of the first thing it did by way of awarding contract was a certain road that was supposed to do a coastal road.
The Lagos Calabar coastal.
How did that project, how did they eventually award the contract to? Who did they award it to? Did they follow due process? How then can you convince me that that move was not a personal interest? How?
Well, these are questions that are yet to be answered, and of course, the intricacies of how the contract was awarded was not generally made public.
It shouldn't be. That is the problem. Shouldn't it be public? Is it your personal business?
And you think the Ministry of Works owes Nigeria?
No, they will answer at the proper time. No, at the fullness of time. It may not be now. It may not be 2 years' time. But at the fullness of time, some of these people will be called back to explain what they did with our Commonwealth. I promise you that.
Well, Mr. Ina, your final thoughts before we let you go. We have just about a minute to wrap up the conversation. However, okay, I just want you in 30 seconds to tell us your concluding projection,
yes,
of the 2027 general elections and how you think the AAC will perform in the polls.
See, right now, our party is we began to organize from last year. Yeah. The organization is continuing. We're doing a lot in the rural areas. We're beginning to develop proper structures of the oppressed across board. We're doing that, and then we have a revamped data collection process. Our website will be coming on soon, where members can go to register and be part of the party. You would, by the time we make it public, you will agree that no one in this country, no party has ever done that kind of innovation with data collection and onboarding people into the party. And then we promise Nigerians the leadership, the people we will put forward across board in the 2027 general election will be men of credibility, people with proven track record of leadership, people who love this country and can die for this country, people who will not look at this country and they have a private jet parked at the airport ready to run in case things were to go bad. People who have stayed with the people, fought for the people, fought against establishment just to enthrone an egalitarian society. Well, we will present them in 2027. Well, and I hope you call us again to espouse more on some of the things we have ahead of the next election. But right now, we want to beg the government, focus on governance.
Well, Mr. Ina, I believe that going forward, we might sort of organize debates for political parties like the AAC and others to come in and share what they have for Nigeria.
I hope when Jumbo matures, you people will invite us, because at the last election, let me tell you, at the last election, they will secretly organize debates and leave us out.
We will invite.
I will hold you to that.
We will invite.
We will just keep watching.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ina. It's been a pleasure having this conversation.
Thank you, Thank you, my brother.
Well, that has been Ina Okopi, who is the National Secretary, African Action Congress, lending his big wealth of thoughts with us on matters of national political interest ahead of the 2027 general polls.